Hello and welcome to the Dollar Store Decor Dash. We are sharing inspiration today on how to create beautiful home decor with items from the dollar store. At the top of my description box, you will find the link to the next person in the lineup. I hope you take the time to hop around to all of our videos because we love your comments and your thumbs up. And some of us might be offering prizes on our channels, so be sure to pay attention for details. Without further ado, let's get on to the hop. Here's a look at the dollar store projects I'm working on today. I recently discovered stamping and how much fun I'm having with these stamps, and it was all because I saw these on clearance at Hobby Lobby. For $3.99 I got this package, and these are clear bendable stamps that I thought would be perfect to use on mugs or candles or anything that you would need a stamp to conform around instead of just being a stiff rubber stamper. So in my first project, I'm going to use this stamp to make over this candle from the Dollar Tree. Now, like I said, I'm new to stamping, so I know there's probably all kinds of different ink, but I liked that this one says stays on. And I also liked that on the back it said fast drying. So this is the kind that I went with, and at Hobby Lobby it was $7.99. Now the first little bit of business is to get this old label, which I actually thought was a pretty label. I liked what it said, but we need to take that off if we're going to give this candle a makeover. And I'm using a scraper, which is it's a razor scraper from the Dollar Tree, and it's perfect for removing labels. Once you get the label removed, there will be residue, and it's sticky, and you want that gone. So I'm using another product from the Dollar Tree called Goo Gone, and it is excellent at getting rid of the leftover sticky, tacky, nasty that's left over from labels and price tags. It's very simple to use. I just use a paper towel and put some on and rubbed it around, and it kind of smells citrusy. It doesn't smell bad. It's not got a chemical smell at all, and it feels oily too, like it might have some citrus oil in it. I haven't read the ingredients, but by the way it smells and the way it acts, it might have like some citrus in it, and it removes all of the nastiness. Then I used a wet rag to wipe off what was left of the Goo Gone because I want the jar to be clean because I'm going to paint it. After I wiped it with a wet rag, then I had to dry it with a dry towel. Now that the candle is thoroughly prepped and ready for painting, I use parchment paper from the Dollar Tree to protect my surface and get ready to paint my candle. I'm using Rust-Oleum chalked linen white, and I think I'm liking it better than the Waverly, to be honest. And I'm using a sponge brush from the Dollar Tree to put the paint on, and I'm being very light-handed. Look what a messy painter. I get too much on my brush, and oh well, I get it on there, but I do thin it out though. It's not a big thick coat. It's just one thin coat of paint that I used on this candle. As always, I used a hair dryer to speed up drying time, and I'm ready for my next layer of paint, which is this color Artifact. It's a chalk paint from Michaels, and I'm going to use a Dollar Tree little chippy brush to dry brush some of this gray onto this white. And I try to get as much of that gray off of my brush as possible before I start putting it on. And I know it looks kind of dark here in the video, but it really isn't. That's just bad lighting. And it also dries lighter. So in the end product, you'll see it kind of looks like a birch log. Like this would be a great way to make for Christmas or winter projects, to make a birch looking candle, I think. Once that's all dry, now it's time for the really fun part, and that is where the stamp comes in. I am so glad that I decided to try these stamps because it's a ball, I'm telling you. You need to go out and get you some. Now, like I said a couple of times already, I'm very new at this, and so I'm not positive what the rules for stamping are, but I'm just kind of winging it as I'm going along. To keep my candle in place, though, I decided to use 2 cereal bowls to put on each side to keep it from rolling around. Now, as far as the actual stamping goes, I rub the ink pad onto the stamper as opposed to pushing the stamp down into the ink pad, because I have found that if you push the stamp down into the ink pad, sometimes you can push too hard and you'll get too much ink. So I rubbed it on the stamper and then very carefully try to push that stamp down and not wiggle it around too much, and apply pressure evenly to try to get all of the letters in place. And then you will see the magic as I remove this stamp. How pretty! Oh my gosh, I'm in love with this whole stamping idea. The only little problem was the L in the word language didn't quite transfer, but I have a fix for that. I'm going to use my fine point Sharpie pen to draw the L back in. By the way, this would be an excellent stamp to put on something if you were giving it as a gift for a friend. There, that's better. Now that the candle is all worded up, I want to decorate it with some jute string. I love using jute string. It's like almost the most simple thing to make something farmhouse, rustic, cute, just jute string. And jute string is available at the Dollar Tree, and so there you go. I just wrapped a couple of times around the top of the candle and tied it into place. Then I thought it would be really cute to add some boxwood greenery to the candle, and so I cut a couple of teeny tiny little pieces and hot glued them right to the top. I love the idea of giving this as a gift to a friend. It looks like something from a gift shop to me. In the next DIY, I'm using this Adventurous Calling decorative block from the Dollar Tree, and it used to have a metal piece on the front, which I already had removed for another DIY, but it's very easily detached. It just has a couple of screws. I'm using that same linen white chalk paint from Rust-Oleum to give 2 good coats all over the top and all the sides of this decorative block. Once that is all dry, now I'm going to use another stamp from Hobby Lobby that I got on clearance, and this one is your more traditional regular rubber stamp. But I'm going to use it in the exact same way as I used the first stamp. And I'm so happy that I found all these on clearance. I got so many of them, so keep your eyes peeled for these clearance stamps, because obviously it's a lot cheaper to get them on clearance because they're not all that cheap to buy when they're not. So again, I just rubbed the ink onto the stamp as opposed to putting the stamp down on the ink. And then I put the stamp right down in the middle of the decorative block. I like to make my decorations all match pretty much. But if you're not a fan of this gray paint that I'm using, you could sure use like a sage green or black or brown or even pinks or purples. I think that would be really cute with these with this flower stamp. But I'm using the same technique as I did on the candle, just very lightly dry brushing, and this time just around the edges to make this block look worn. What do you think that I should use to decorate this with? Jute string. Yes, yes, yes. The magical, wonderful jute string makes an appearance once again, and I'm going to wrap it around this block about 4 times. And I like to do this in a haphazard kind of way. I like to crisscross the strings, and then I tie it in the back, a double knot, and hot glue it into place. Also, this works to hide the little screw holes that are in the block from where the metal piece was. And I also want to mention that if you are not a fan of jute string, I also can picture ribbon going around the top and bottom, maybe along with some sprigs of greenery. And of course, I'm going to do the very same thing to the bottom of the box. I hope you guys are enjoying this Dollar Dash decor hop. I am so looking forward to seeing all the videos and hopping around, and some people might be doing giveaways, so make sure that you pay attention to details and watch everyone's videos so you don't miss out. And again, I think this looks like something out of a gift shop. Something about that black ink popping against that white chalk paint just makes it look so nice. In the next DIY, I'm using this house that I got at the Dollar Tree, and again, removing that sticky label off the bottom and using the Goo Gone to get rid of the nasty residue. And I used the same Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint to give this house 2 good coats. The main reason I'm painting this house is because I wanted to get rid of the welcome on the front of it so I could stamp my own saying on there. Once the white paint was all dry, I'm going to use that same gray paint to give a light distressing all over this house. And I also did more on the roof so it would look more like a roof, I guess. I decided that the roof needed to be darker, so I wasn't as light-handed on the roof as I was the rest. Around the edges and the corners of the house, I found that it was a lot easier to use the side of the brush to go over those instead of going at it bristles first, I guess. And I really like the effect that this gave the house. I feel like it gave it more dimension instead of it being just all flat looking with that chalk paint. When it came to the front and sides of the house, I wiped off as much of that gray paint as I possibly could just to give it a very, very, very teeny tiniest little amount of distressing. I also had an idea as I was doing this painting of possibly using a Sharpie to draw shiplap lines around this house. And I contemplated trying that, but ultimately I decided against it because I was too scared. I mean, all it would be would, if I didn't like it, just repaint it with the white chalk paint and start all over. But, you know, I still think that it might be a cute idea. Once the distressing is finished, it's time for stamping, and this stamp says happily ever after, which makes me think it would be a really cute one to use if you were making something for a wedding shower or a just married couple, or of course I'm just gonna have it in my house for pretty, but I really liked the little saying on this one. I'll be using the same ink. I used the same ink for all of these DIYs today, and I might be experimenting with different kinds of ink in the future, and I will keep you all posted on what is working best for me. And I'm using the same technique of putting the ink onto the stamp and then putting the stamp right down on my project. If you didn't know, I'm a stickler, and that little loop in the happy that had a little bit too much ink was bothering me. So I took a toothpick dipped it in my white paint, and fixed that right away. The little house is complete, and you could leave it just like that, but I thought it needed some greenery, of course, so I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I stuck some greenery down in the hole. I know that you're supposed to use this as a tea light. You could probably put a tea light inside of there and light this up, and that would be cute too, but I decided to put greenery in there. And here's a look at everything all together. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Remember to check out my description box. There will be a link at the top that will take you to the next person in the hop. And remember to give us a big thumbs up and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you like our videos. Thank you for watching. Bye.